Yo, what is good, Knicks Nation? Welcome back to Knicks Media. This is Richie, and happy NBA Draft Day. The 2022 draft kicks off tonight at 8 p.m. We all know that the New York Knicks have the 11th overall pick, and I've been making videos on this channel giving you guys all the latest reports from SNY's Ian Begley's Knicks Insider, and we get another report from him this morning that does not link the Knicks to Jaden Ivey. Not talking about a player that they're interested at number 11, but a player that they're interested in trading up in the NBA Draft for around the 7th spot, that being in Shaedon Sharpe from Kentucky. So this is a player that is a high-risk, high-reward type of player, and I want to give you guys my thoughts of the New York Knicks potentially looking to move up in the NBA Draft to get Shaedon Sharpe. Before we hop into the video, I just want to mention, if you guys are new to Knicks Media, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Got a lot of Knicks content coming your way, and if you guys want to hit that like button if you enjoy the video, I'll greatly appreciate that. And if you want to check me out over on Instagram and Twitter, that is at NYKnicks_media. With that being said, let's get into my thoughts of Shaedon Sharpe. So this is a player that's very interesting. He was the #1 ranked player coming out of high school in 2022, and then he goes to Kentucky and does not play. So the big thing about Shaedon Sharpe to me is he's a mystery. We have not seen him play organized 5-on-5 ball in a long time, since last year. So it's really interesting to see what the New York Knicks approaches for trading up for a guy like this. Obviously, we all know that you guys are going to say in the comments, what, another Kentucky player the Knicks are connected to? Surprise, surprise, surprise. So let's get into the article written by Ian Begley. So the headliner is Knicks 2022 NBA Draft Buzz, Shaedon Sharpe on New York's radar. The Knicks have lots of balls in the air. Interesting. The Knicks have interest in trading up as high as 4 to select Jaden Ivey, but they also have another potential trade-up option on their radar. Per SNY's Ian Begley, the Knicks have interest in Shaedon Sharpe, who has, quote, fans in high places within the organization. Sharpe is projected to go before the Knicks would pick at number 11. He sat out last season at Kentucky, but the Knicks have a strong Kentucky connection in leadership roles, including team president Leon Rose and EVP William Wesley. So New York would theoretically be able to get enough intel on Sharpe. So the interesting thing about Sharpe is we all know that he did not play last year. So the only way the Knicks can get a lot of inside information on them is going into the Kentucky organization, talking to the coaching staff, talking to the personnel people at Kentucky. What is he like at practice? Because I remember during basketball, college basketball, you know, Kentucky was playing and a lot of people were watching practices beforehand just to see what Sharpe was doing, and he looked fluid, he looked athletic, he looked like a guy that people are just wanting to see go out there on the court. So this is a player that if the Knicks really feel like could be a difference maker for the season, they're going to trade up to get him. And I'm honestly not against this move. I definitely would prefer trading up for Jaden Ivey 100%. That's going to be the guy that I want the most tonight. But if the Knicks can't get Jaden Ivey and the Sacramento Kings either draft Ivey themselves or another team trades up for Ivey and we can't do anything, I do still want to see the New York Knicks be aggressive and trade up to get their guy. Not saying that I would not be against staying put at 11, but I do feel like, seeing this report, it doesn't scare me. It doesn't, make me feel like I'm worried about this potential. I don't know the type of trade we'd have to give up to move up to that 7th spot, but Shaedon Sharpe is a player that if he played at Kentucky, he could potentially be a top 3, top 2 pick. I mean, the hype around him coming out of high school was legit. He's a real wing player that has absolutely ridiculous athleticism, has really good potential beyond the arc. His shooting is there, his athleticism is there, but we all know the big risk when it comes to drafting a player, which we haven't really seen play organized ball in quite some time. So obviously, there's a high risk, high reward factor when it comes to trading up for a player in Sharpe out of Kentucky. So I want to hear your guys' thoughts down below in the comments. Would you be okay with the Knicks potentially trading up to get Sharpe, or are you all on board or on the Jaden Ivey train like I am? I prefer that, but hypothetically speaking, if we're not able to get Jaden Ivey, what's your thoughts of potentially moving up to get Sharpe? Or do you want to stay pat at 11 and take whoever the best player available is? Or do you want to trade back from 11 and, acquire more capital, or trade out the entire draft and trade the veterans to clear up cap space for a guy like, Brunson from the Dallas Mavericks? There's a lot of different things that the New York Knicks are going to be trying to do tonight, and I'm so excited to see what actually happens come the NBA draft, which is finally tonight, because I'm so sick of making these hypothetical scenario videos like, oh, what if the Knicks do that? What if the Knicks do this? Guess what, guys? We'll finally find out what the Knicks are going to do tonight, and I'll be making videos all about it tonight. So make sure you guys stay tuned for my Knicks content here on Knicks Media after the draft. It's going to be a lot of fun. But to finish off the video, I just want to say, if the Knicks are a team that is actually going to trade up for Sharpe, it's going to be a really, interesting factor, because Leon Rose, this is his 3rd offseason, right? This is his real big opportunity to take a big step as the Knicks president, because last year big time disappointment, right? We go to the 4th seed, we make the playoffs, things are riding high, we lose in the first round, and what does Leon Rose do last offseason? He thinks continuity is going to be the thing that's going to keep his team together. He re-signs Alec Burks to a 3-year deal, re-signs Nerlens Noel to a 3-year deal, re-signs Derrick Rose to a 3-year deal, gives Julius Randle a max contract extension. So he really felt like, that was the core of the team that he wanted to bring around and have continuity around Tom Thibodeau. And now all of a sudden we're in a situation where we're coming off a disappointing season, and now he's going to really have to be aggressive and make big time changes. We hear that they're interested in moving on from veterans like Alec Burks and Nerlens Noel to shed off those cap space to eventually pursue somebody in free agency, because we don't really have a lot of cap room. We're also interested in re-signing Mitchell Robinson, which is going to take quite a bit of money. We also have to extend RJ Barrett because he's eligible for the rookie contract extension. If the Knicks want to do that this offseason, it would be smart in my opinion. So there's a lot of things that Brock Aller and all the people in the Knicks front office are really going to have to make decisions, and it all starts tonight. The Knicks offseason starts tonight, and I just want to see a different approach from this New York Knicks front office, being aggressive, being assertive, instead of sitting on their hands and waiting. I do like their approach in the previous couple of drafts, trading down, getting picks, but you can't do that every single draft. What you do is you do those things to set yourself up for an opportunity like this, to be aggressive and to get up in the draft and get your guy. The unfortunate reality is the only way we're getting Jaden Ivey is we don't just have to give up a couple draft picks, we have to give up some players on the roster right now, that being one of Obi Toppin, Emmanuel Quickley, or Quentin Grimes. So it'll be really interesting to see if the Knicks are going to be able to trade up for Jaden Ivey. Are they going to trade up for Sharpe, potentially packaging a couple picks, or maybe in a veteran and shedding off that contract? We will see what happens, but I just feel like this is a big time offseason for the New York Knicks, and you guys know this just as much as I do. This is really going to determine if Leon Rose is the right man to be running this organization, because I felt like we hired the right guy after he came in the building. We hired Tom Thibodeau. Tom Thibodeau wins Coach of the Year. We're the 4th seed. We're all riding high. We're like, wow, this was phenomenal stuff. Leon Rose is the savior for this organization, and then he goes out last offseason. I just described everything he did. So now we're in year number 3 of the Leon Rose regime, his 3rd offseason. So this is a really big deciding factor of the future of Leon Rose running this Knicks organization, and he really needs to understand that his job is on the line in terms of what he does tonight and what he does in free agency, what he does in the trade market. And I really hope that they are aggressive, they get the guy that they want, and they don't play the conservative route. I think the conservative route worked for the past 2 years to get the draft capital to build for the future, but now it's time to use those assets and get your guy in the NBA draft tonight, that being in Jaden Ivey. That's who I want number 1. If we get Sharpe, I will not be upset about it, even though it is a little risky, but at the same time, if it hits, the potential that Sharpe has is absolutely legit. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens tonight. Let me know your thoughts down below, what you want to happen tonight. What's your perfect scenario that will happen for the New York Knicks tonight? Love to hear what you guys have to say. Please don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed. Catch you guys tonight. Let's go Knicks. Peace out.